Hi. If happiness is living in accord with human nature, can humans be happy even when going through a life event that causes suffering? I believe that if happiness is living in accord with human nature, then I do think you can be happy even when going through suffering. Depending on if you have a religious view of happiness and human nature or Aristotle's view of happiness and human nature, I believe in both that you can still be happy while suffering. Um, what we've learned about in religion is that we believe that we are made in the image of God, and the meaning of true happiness and fulfillment comes with our relationship with God and God's purposes. So if you view happiness in this way, then it's possible for you to be going through suffering and still be happy because you have a strong relationship with God. On the other hand, with Aristotle's view of human nature and happiness, it mainly has to do with living a virtuous life and having fulfillment. While suffering can impact us in the moment, as long as we're living a virtuous life and being resilient through the issue, in the eyes of Aristotle, you can still have a happy life. Also, in one of the articles we read, it was talking about how it didn't define happiness as an emotional state. But if you did define happiness as an emotional state and define happiness by the things that are going around you, although I believe it's difficult and harder to find happiness in a time of suffering, if you define happiness like that, I still believe it's possible. My main example would be that during a time where, say, you've lost a loved one, some people handle death differently than others. It may break some people to the point where, like, they truly can't feel happiness in that moment. On the other hand, there are those that can accept death and instead would like to honor the dead, and honoring them brings them happiness. Although they're still in that moment of suffering and in that moment of mourning a loved one, they still find happiness in honoring them and remembering them. So I do feel like if you view happiness a different way from the religious view or Aristotle's view, and you do view it on an emotional basis, I still believe it's possible to feel happiness while suffering.